We sincerely apologize for that slight technical interruption. Thank you for sticking with us. Here are the stories making today's headlines.
Ethiopia, Germany, France, and the US urge nationals to leave. The Western nations say their citizens should leave Ethiopia immediately after Abiy Ahmed vowed to lead from the battlefield against Tigray rebels. The Foreign Ministry said in a statement that German citizens could still use Addis Ababa Bole International Airport for transit and said they should board the first flight available. France and the US also advised their citizens to leave the country immediately as the conflict in the East African nation appears to be escalating.
In our second story, Ramaphosa hosts Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta on state visit. The two countries share long-standing mutually beneficial relations that predate Kenya's historic support for the struggle against apartheid and colonialism in South Africa, the presidency's acting spokesperson Tyrone Seal said. South Africa established diplomatic relations with Kenya in 1992 with a Joint Commission for Cooperation Agreement, enabling the highest form of bilateral engagements conducted at ministerial level. Kenya recently held the presidency of the United Nations Security Council and reinforced Africa's advocacy for reform of the Security Council and other multilateral forums. Now, with regards to their economic relationship, South Africa exported 7.5 billion rand worth of goods to Kenya in 2020 against imports of 329.5 million rand. There are more than 60 South African companies operating in Kenya with investments in the financial services, real estate, food and beverages, entertainment services, and hospitality sector, among others.
Nigeria dismisses leaked reports on a bloody crackdown of protesters. The Nigerian government on Tuesday dismissed a leaked judicial investigation that said 15 people were killed or missing after a crackdown on mass protests in Lagos last year. Submitted to state authorities on the 15th of November, the leaked report contradicts the army's version of what happened at the city's Lekki toll gate on the 20th of October 2020. The report found that 11 people were killed, 4 were missing, and 21 others were wounded by gunshots. The army has denied that security forces opened fires with live rounds. Information Minister Lai Mohammed told the reporters on Tuesday there is absolutely nothing in the report that is circulating to make us change our stand that there was no massacre at Lekki.
11 Sudan ministers resign as a Hamdok agreement legitimizes military coup regime. 11 ministers representing the Forces for Freedom and Change who participated in the transitional government before the military junta seized power in a coup d'etat on 25 October announced that they have submitted their resignations in writing to Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, disavowing the agreement signed in Khartoum on Sunday with junta leader General Abdel Fattah el-Burhan. On Monday, the Central Council of FFC, a major driver of the revolution that overthrew the 30-year al-Bashir dictatorship in 2019 and convener of an ongoing campaign of civil disobedience and mass demonstrations since the coup, issued a statement distancing itself from the agreement with what it described as the brute junta, stressing that there is no negotiation, no partnership, and no legitimacy for the pushists. The ministers condemned all acts of violence that accompanied the peaceful demonstrations, calling for an immediate investigation and bringing the perpetrators to justice.
Kenya 2021 had the highest extrajudicial killings and disappearances in history. There were more cases of extrajudicial execution and enforced disappearances in Kenya this year than any other period in history, the nation has learned. Police have over the decades acquired a dubious distinction of being a source of insecurity due to their trigger-happy officers. Latest reports show there were 43 cases of extrajudicial killing and enforced disappearances in 2021, the worst ever. Haki Africa, a human rights organization based in Mombasa, said Coast leads with the highest number of cases at 29. The report shows that most of the victims disappeared shortly after being arrested. Haki Africa Executive Director Hassan Khalid challenged the government to ratify the International Convention Against Enforced Disappearances and adopt laws to outlaw such activities in Kenya.
In our next story, NASA launches spacecraft to kick asteroid off course. A NASA mission deliberately smashed a spacecraft into an asteroid, a test run should humanity ever need to stop a giant space rock from wiping out life on Earth, blasted off on Tuesday from California. Asteroid Dimorphos, we're coming for you, NASA tweeted after the launch. The goal is to slightly alter the trajectory of Dimorphos, a moonlet around 160 meters or 2 statues of Liberty wide that circles a much larger asteroid called Didymos. The pair orbit the Sun together. Impact should take place in fall of 2022. But to be clear, the asteroids in question pose no threat to our planet. Asteroids that are 6 miles or wider, such as the one that struck 66 million years ago and led to the extinction of most life on Earth, including the dinosaurs, occur around 100 to 200 million years.
In our next story, a public health approach to ending building collapses in Nigeria. Since 2007, 145 buildings have collapsed in Lagos, Nigeria, Nigeria's most populous state and so-called center of excellence. The recent collapse of the 21-story building is attributable to corruption and poor oversight by government agencies. The building was approved to be a 15-story, but ended up being a 21-story. 6 extra floors were added to the building. It was a bomb waiting to explode. The Lagos state government must investigate this collapse and ensure that every culprit faces the full extent of law. Until that happens, the federal government of Nigeria, Lagos, and other states should adopt these 3 epidemiological approaches to prevent future occurrences.
Now in the Gambia, Halifa Saleh Essa Fall face off in a maiden presidential debate. In what was the maiden edition in the history of the Gambia, 2 presidential candidates faced off in a public debate ahead of the 4 December presidential poll held at the Sir Dauda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center, Bijilo, on 20 November 2021. Out of 6 presidential candidates, the Independent Electoral Commission gave the green light to contest in the forthcoming election. Only 2 braced up to the call for a public debate, which is unprecedented. The debate, which many Gambians described as the battle of ideas and or policies, was organized by the Commission on Political Debates and moderated by 2 prominent Gambian journalists. The 2 debaters deliberated on 5 thematic areas, namely agriculture, the economy, education, infrastructure, and health.
What is next after 4 hotels in Zanzibar go up in flame? The site of 4 tourist hotels in Jabaini, Zanzibar, that were reduced to ashes on Friday evening is one of despair. The glamour and the fineness of the once filled the beach plot that are now all gone. For both owners and workers, it is all gloom as they try to tame with the hungry flames that consume what was once a time their source of livelihood. They were left with nothing to fall back after everything was burnt down, with fire and rescue departments failing to save the building from fires that were mainly fueled by strong winds. However, even amid the gloom, it has emerged that some of the workers who were at the hotels will be retained to work on the reconstruction of the hotels.
Now in Ivory Coast, 3 logging companies closed for illegal logging. The classified forests of Ivory Coast will enjoy a little respite. Agents of the Ministry of Water and Forests have started a control mission in the classified forests in the south and east of the country. As a result, the activities of 3 logging companies have been suspended. Illegal logging is a major factor in deforestation in Ivory Coast. According to the latest National Forestry and Wildlife Inventory released in July 2021, Ivorian forest cover has fallen from 22 million hectares in 1960 to 2.97 million hectares today. The same study indicates that only 13.3% of classified forests and 32.2% of protected areas still contain forest cover. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. This is still Africa Good Morning, bringing you the news as you need it. See you after the break. Now, the chief executive of Namibia's Save the Rhino Trust has again put the country on the map, having been awarded the Prince William Award for Conservation in Africa in recognition of the 30 years he has worked to save black rhinos. He received the award from Prince William himself on Monday night in London during the annual Tusk Conservation Awards. In this clip taken at the awards, we meet the people who work with Simpson and hear what Prince William has to say about this trust that lies so close to his heart.
Work for Save the Rhino Trust, this unique rhino population simply wouldn't exist. His ability to connect with and inspire not only his team but traditional leaders, politicians, donors and even royalty has earned him worldwide admiration. He is without doubt a very worthy winner of this Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's find out more about the incredible work of Simpson.
I can tell you that we know most of the rhinos. By name, by code, we know them. And the guys called me and they said, Tegla was shot. No, I was with my family, but immediately, my brain switched off. You see an animal that you have been known for so long, lying in front of you with lots of blood, being shot, horns cut off. It's very sad. It's really sad.
Samson is a very passionate person, very dedicated to his work, has a lot of skills and experience working in the field. He's not just a CEO that sits in an office and gives instruction. He's a CEO that goes out in the field and gets his hands dirty.
I try my best to always come out and see the guys and talk to them where possible.
Okay. Everybody knows him, everybody knows his work, but he also has added value because of his personality. He's just a people's person.
I know Simpson for a long time. More or less studied together in SRT. He is a good person. He's the one who trained me how to track rhinos and to do everything within Save the Rhino Trust.
Simpson is a very soft-spoken, gentle giant, if I may call him. He's quite a big man. He's also a community leader for the entire community. Everyone knows.
Rhinos, there's always this spark in his eyes.
I constantly get calls over weekends from Simpson. He doesn't even greet me, he just says like, Pity, there's a new black rhino calf. Nana has an A-size calf, or we found Speedy again. And I think that epitomizes Simpson as a person. Even being the CEO, he still gets excited about rhinos.
But there's always a team.
In Namibia, all black rhinos belong to the state. Save the Rhino Trust, they have been in collaboration with the ministry looking after the rhinos in Konene since the inception in the 1980s. That area has gone through a severe drought over the last 10 years. So Simpson as a leader has been at the helm in probably the most difficult time for the organization.
He has put in so much effort in saving rhinos, traveling away from us for weeks, months, years, so he deserves this achievement.
With efforts like we've had with Save the Rhino Trust. We've brought poaching down, and we have had a dramatic reduction since 2015 in our poaching numbers.
Samson has actually sacrificed his life for rhinos.
I am Samson Kuriko, born Namibian, and I am the CEO of Save the Rhino Trust Namibia.
As always, I'm delighted to be here again at the Tusk Conservation Awards. Earlier this evening, I spent time chatting to the award winners and finalists. Their courage, determination, and commitment to African conservation is deeply humbling. As ever, it's been fantastic to see their outstanding work on the big screen. These wonderful films really bring their powerful and inspiring stories to life. Thank you to all those involved in creating these beautiful films, and thank you to everyone else, particularly all the sponsors, for making this evening possible. It's been 2 years since we were able to stage a live Tusk Awards event. In that time, the world has been turned upside down as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. We owe it to our children and future generations to act now. Let me finish by congratulating our finalists and award winners again. Thank you, Tusk, for shining such an important spotlight on their incredible achievements through these awards. Suleiman, Julie, Caleb, Rachel, and Simpson, you are truly inspiring and give us all hope that change is indeed possible. Thank you.
Happy? Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Because we're retaining the first.
Work for Save the Rhino Trust, this unique rhino.
Get gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning, the best place to start your morning. But if you want to know how the rest of your day is going to feel like, have a look at our weather forecast up next. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Let's get straight into your economic news stories for the day. In our first story, Africa Investment Forum 2021. Billions more expected in new investments for the continent. The Africa Investment Forum's Market Days 2021, one of the biggest flagship initiatives of the African Development Bank, is poised to attract billions of dollars in investment for strategic development projects across the continent. The annual forum has come to be an invaluable platform during which the bank successfully attracts critical investment for the continent's infrastructure, agriculture, and healthcare system needs, among others, especially as Africa seeks to rebound from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The African Development launched the Africa Investment Forum in 2018 with 7 other founding partners, namely the Africa 50, the Africa Finance Corporation, the African Export-Import Bank, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, the Trade and Development Bank, the European Investment Bank, and the Islamic Development Bank.
Angola readies 445 million to build logistic hubs. The Angolan government plans to invest over $455.5 million to build 21 logistic centers by 2038 in order to minimize the challenges of goods transport, which is still heavily dependent on the road transport. The information was published by the Minister for Transport, Ricardo de Abreu, at the launch of the International Public Tender for the Concession, Construction, Operation and Commercial Management of the Soyo and Luvo logistic platforms in Zaire. Abreu said that all the other platforms to be built in 2038 will have different characteristics that will complement each other. According to the minister, the network of logistics platforms will be an important element in the plan to diversify the national economy, and depending on the province where they are installed, they will facilitate the storage, conservation, and the flow production of productive rural and fishing areas, as well as the agri-industrial hubs.
South Africa AFD lends $100 million to First Rand for climate change mitigation projects. The French Development Agency is approving a $100 million loan for First Rand Bank, the subsidiary of the First Rand Group. The Johannesburg-based commercial bank will use the AFD loan to finance climate change mitigation and adaptation projects. According to AFD, this operation will support South Africa's ambitious nationally determined contribution. This non-binding plan highlights the climate actions the South African government intends to take to meet the global targets set in the Paris Climate Agreement. The $100 million loan will also help strengthen the role of the South African private sector in the transition to a resilient, low-carbon economy.
Zambia Airways are finally set to take off on the 1st of December 2021. Zambia Airways will get back to the skies on the 1st of December 2021 with its initial domestic flight from Lusaka to Ndola. Zambia Airways will operate a frequency of 5 and 6 times a week from Lusaka to Livingstone and Ndola respectively. The Zambia Airway is a joint venture established in August 2018 between the Industrial Development Corporation Limited, which holds 55% shareholding, and Ethiopian Airlines with 45% ownership, which the shareholder had contributed $30 million in capital towards the establishment of the airline.
All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Next up, economic indicators.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Cases of gender-based violence reported through the national GBV hotline almost tripled during the COVID-19 lockdowns from 1,930 in 2019 to more than 5,507 in 2020. Talent Gore has this story and more. Good morning, Talent. Please take it away.
Good morning, Aina. So cases of gender-based violence reported through the GBV hotline almost tripled during the COVID-19 lockdowns from 1,930 to more than 5,507 in 2020. Well, these statistics were revealed by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly while officiating at a dialogue session on this year's 16 days of activism against GBV. Well, the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly said that despite the existence of progressive laws, cases of GBV continued to increase. She said that the country had also become the epicenter of some of the most brutal cases of violence against women and girls. So she called on the government to establish more specialized courts to deal with sexual offenses and ensure speedy trials to offenders. She said that this would help people understand that such behavior will not be tolerated in the country. So she said that the increasing number of GBV cases was very worrying, and there was need for the government to step in and make sure that these statistics, they can at least decrease rather than increase.
All right, Talent, now in your second story, nurse aides from across the country have been denied the COVID-19 allowance paid to other health professionals. Could you tell us about this?
Well, nurse aides across the country, they are up in arms with the health ministry after they have been denied their COVID-19 allowances, which are being paid to other health professionals. The rest of the health workforce, except the nurse aides, have already received their COVID-19 allowance as per government's pledge. So the Nurse Aides Association of Zimbabwe, they say that they were hurt by the discrimination, by this discrimination by the government, as they are the most. They are the nurse aides say that they had not received their COVID-19 allowances, and there was discrimination since they are from the lower grades health workers. So they say that since the advent of COVID-19, the advent of COVID-19 exposed the scarcity of human resources in the health sector, and nurse aides were the first port of call for most COVID-19 patients. So they deserve to be given their COVID-19 allowances. So they blamed the government for not putting up with their pledge. They've said that the government promised to give them their COVID-19 allowance, but they have not yet received anything since the government made the pledge. But other health workers, they have since received their COVID-19 allowance. Yes.
All right, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is ready to resume polls under COVID-19. Please tell us more.
The Electoral Commission has come up with a policy that will ensure that they will resume their electoral processes. They've said that they come up with a policy that will ensure the country resumes electoral processes even under the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, which previously affected the holding of political activities for almost 2 years. In March last year, electoral activities were suspended in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has since claimed more than 1,000 lives in Zimbabwe and also wrecked livelihoods. So the commission said that it is now ready to conduct the by-elections and all elections and electoral processes using their COVID-19 policy. So Zimbabwe is now warming up to the by-elections that President Emerson Mnangagwa hinted will be held in the first quarter of next year, with harmonized elections set for 2023.
Tell us, Talent, has there been any opinion on this from the main political parties, namely ZANU-PF and MDC Alliance?
Currently, the MDC Alliance is saying that they do not trust the president since he has since told them not to hold any by-elections. So they're not sure if the president is going to hold the by-elections, is going to make sure that these by-elections take place. But the ZANU-PF has since said that they welcome this move by the president and they are now ready to go for their by-elections. The MDC Alliance is also saying that they are ready to go for their by-elections, but they are not sure if the president is going to preside, is going to make sure that the by-elections take place.
All right. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us that comprehensive report from Zimbabwe. All right, thank you very much, Talent. Talent always makes sure that we are up to date with everything happening in what is known as the House of Stone, as Africa Good Morning continues to decentralize African news just for you. See you after the break.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of $20,000 Namibian or one of 12 weekly prizes of $5,000 Namibian. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
You can't be a good neighbor without knowing exactly what your neighbor is going through, and that's why we are crossing over to Botswana so that Masego Mohwasa can give us the 3 stories that are circulating around the nation. Masego, take it away.
Good morning, Africa, and good morning to you too, Aina and Ashwin in studio. First off, we have the former commander of Botswana Defense Force, Major General Pius Mokware, has warned that Botswana is on a ticking time bomb, potential poisoning of large water sources around the country. Mokware just told journalists that recent events in the country, among them political tensions and cash heists, point to rising security threats that require top-notch intelligence and monitoring for effective response. He therefore advises that it is important that security forces be deployed to guard big dams that supply water to large parts of the country. Security lab where large water sources in Botswana remain exposed is unacceptable because anything is possible and from a national security risk. Following up, the newly released Auditor General notes that the President Masisi and the Ministry of Presidential Affairs and Public Administration played a huge role in millions being paid to the force without following established procedure. The one highlighted instance of this management of the relief fund includes the communications officer who should have not been paid even a cent of the over 160,000 pula paid to him for services rendered over a period of 3 months. A majority of the members of the presidential task force were appointed from outside of the public service. Some were seconded by state enterprises, while the rest were seconded with the full remuneration during the duration of the task force's requirement. The PRO's allowance was stopped, however, just after 3 months following a letter from the employer. It was observed that there were 2 presidential task force support team members were wanted on as his employers in kind support of the government's effort to deal with the national crisis, and therefore was not expected to be paid any allowance by the government. Basically, some members of the task force were paid double, one by their employer and one by the government, when they shouldn't have been paid, as their services were gratis basis from their employer. Last but not least, following a disruption in the transport system this week, Gaborone public transport operators have called off their strike after the Bus and Taxi Association leadership engaged with government officials. Reporting back to the Combi operators at the Gaborone bus rank yesterday afternoon, the association chairperson Edison Kamelang said government officials have promised favorable feedback by November 26, 2021, which is tomorrow morning. Kamelang and the association leadership met with the Ministry of Transport officials this morning, while other members were on a shutdown protesting at the Gaborone bus rank. The operators demand that the local combi fare be 7 pula, up from 5 pula. Their reasons are that the law dictates that the transport fee shall be 30 thebe per kilometer in the local radius of 22.2 kilometers. This adds up to 6 pula 66 thebe, and if rounded to the nearest pula, becomes 7 pula. We will advocate for the adjustment later, but for now, we wanted the government to comply with the transport law, Kamelang said. So the strike, as most people have shared, was unnecessary. This comes from people who wanted to go to work and felt frustrated by the actions of the Kambi system in Gaborone. However, as Kamelang said, the law is the law and adjustments need to be made. That is the last from my report from Botswana. Thank you for having me.
It's always good having you here, giving us the news from Botswana. And if there are any Botswana watching the show, I know you are, please do send us your opinions on what's happening in your country as well as what you see happening in other African countries. This is To Africa. Good morning. After the break, those sports updates. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to dive straight into your sports news stories. In our first story, Qatar celebrates World Cup 1 year to go milestone and unveils the countdown clock. Qatar's 2022 local organizing committee, the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, marked 1 year to the start of the FIFA World Cup with the countdown clock at the Corniche fishing spot in Doha. Gianni Infantino said on Sunday that the world has an opportunity to end some prejudice they might have regarding the Arab world at Qatar 2022. The FIFA president was speaking after the unveiling of the Qatar 2022 World Cup countdown clock in Doha. I am convinced that this World Cup in Qatar, in the Middle East, in the Gulf, in the Arab world will mark a U-turn in the way the world perceives with prejudice, sadly, sometimes the Arab world, said Infantino.
Francis Benzema gets a 1 year suspended term in sex tape case. A French court on Wednesday gave Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema a 1 year suspended sentence for complicity in a bid to blackmail his former France teammate Matteo Falbena with a sex tape. The sentence was tougher than what sought by the prosecutors against the 33-year-old player over the 2015 extortion attempt, with the led Benzema to be cast out of the team for 5.5 years. Benzema was not in court in Paris' suburb of Versailles for the verdict, which came hours before Real Madrid take on Sheriff in a Champions League game in Moldova. The Lyon native did not attend his trial last month, citing professional commitments.
A sad day for Proteas as AB de Villiers announces retirement from all cricket. Former South Africa international AB de Villiers said he has decided to retire from all forms of the game, bringing an end to a 17-year career. It has been an incredible journey, but I have decided to retire from all cricket, de Villiers said in a statement on Friday. An explosive batsman who also kept wickets, de Villiers has often been referred to as Mr. 360 for his wide range of shots. De Villiers retires with over 20,000 runs to his name. The icon ends his career with 9,424 T20 runs at a strike rate of 150.13 in 320 innings. He was not out 67 times with 4 centuries, 69 50s, and a high score of 133 not out. He also took 230 catches and has claim of 18 stumpings. It's safe to say that AB is in a class of his own, commented Cricket South Africa Director of Cricket Graham Smith. He has batted, bowled and kept wicket for South Africa with the same passion and drive he puts into every task requested of him.
Djokovic backs a WTA threat to cut ties with China. Novak Djokovic said that he backed the WTA's threat to cut lucrative business ties with China if tennis star Peng Shuai remains unaccounted for and her sexual assault allegation against a top Communist Party official are not investigated. Talking to reporters after beating Cameron Norrie at the ATP finals in Turin, men's world #1 Novak Djokovic offered his support to Women's Tennis Association boss Steve Simon, who said on Thursday that he is willing to lose hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Chinese business to ensure Peg's safety. Former Wimbledon and French Open doubles champion Peg alleged on Chinese social media earlier this month that former Vice Premier Zheng Guoli had forced her into sex and they had an off-and-on relationship.
Evil triumphs when good men remain quiet. Thank you, Djokovic, for standing with your fellow tennis counterpart. This is Still Africa. Good morning. We'll bring you your headlines after the break. Ensure you are up to date with all the current affairs happening in the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not, here are some of the headlines. Ethiopia, Germany, France, and US urge nationals to leave. Ramaphosa hosts Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta on state visit. 11 Sudan ministers resign as Hamdok agreement legitimizes military coup regime. Nigeria dismisses leaked report on bloody crackdown of protesters. Africa Investment Forum 2021, billions more expected in new investments for the continent. And in sport, Qatar celebrates World Cup 1 year to go milestone, unveils countdown clock. Those have been our stories.
We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Africa Good Morning. We also have a website that's called OneUp2. Please do visit us. Thank you very much for joining us on this Thursday edition of Africa Good Morning. Do not forget to play your part, get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. Happy Thursday.
All right. Swera Jaganaka.